the man responsible for hiring Apple design guru Johnny Ive. I guess that's going to be on your gravestone there.
Yeah, on my gravestone, the man who hired Johnny Ive.
Still, you are, one of the most iconic designers in Silicon Valley, and I'm curious, there's a debate going on in the design world now about design versus functionality. Interestingly, leading into this with the Samsung story, and I'm curious, what's your philosophy as a designer? Where do you start on what's most important?
That debate is not new. That's been a debate for as long as I've been doing this. So, form versus function versus aesthetic versus so forth, and it's all intertwined. It's all important. I always look at what makes a successful product. It has to do with, is it usable, is it useful, and is it desirable, right? And those are the things that we always look at. But with a tech product, it has to work. It has to work well. It has to be accessible. Those are the things. Different things. Those are usually the primary failures for a brand, is that their products just don't do what people believe they will do.
At the same time, it has to sell,
yes.
And I wonder, if you look at something like the iPhone, it's been a couple years with this particular design, and we're expecting a big design overhaul next year, whether or not we see that. But how much more can the design of an iPhone improve, in your opinion?
Smartphone design is a really interesting area because it really comes down to a lot of detail and finesse, and it's very, very close in, and so as designs progress, and what's really interesting is how attuned consumers have become to that. How the glass is layered, what the edge is like, how close to the edge is the display, all these very minute things, but they kind of add up to this sort of idea of what's new and what's valuable.
So you think it could change significantly still?
Yeah, I think, we all know what Apple, what design means something very deep to Apple. And it's not just surface, it's how things work, how they're constructed, how they behave. And they have the resources and the ability to continually push on that. So I expect to see something that's really exciting, that is fundamental on how it's constructed.
And at the same time, do you think it will be big enough to kickstart sales even when the overall market is saturating?
Yeah, I think we've seen that consistently with, and that's an interesting thing about a market that is saturated, how design becomes so important, right? And what smartphones have transitioned from a very functional thing, which still is, but really into these very everyday personal objects, right, that we all carry, and then they're all part of our lives, and so we spend an enormous amount of time with them.
And before we move on, because you actually brought a number of really cool products that I want to talk about, but do you think Apple and the design culture will survive without the influence of Johnny Ive? He's taken a step back, he's still there, but the structure has changed.
Of course. I don't think Johnny has stepped back, and I think it is a design.
He's not as in the weeds. He's focused on the campus and the office.
It's a design.
As far as I know.
It's a design. It's a design-driven culture.
Yeah.
Right. And it was when I was there, and it still is even more so, and it will continue to be. And it will always be about, everything is about what the experience you put out, and then we'll build everything behind it to deliver it. That's what a design-driven culture does.
So you've been working very hard, and I got a chance to look at all of these things before we came on. I wanted to start with the coffee mug for Ember that you designed, which stays at the temperature that you set it at.
Yeah.
So anyone who drinks coffee knows that there's like about a 5-minute window where it's actually the right temperature. It's either too hot or too cold. Talk to me about the design challenge here.
We love things like this, right? Creating new things, and we've been doing a lot of connected things, and I love things like this that are very simple and pure, right? And it has this technology called phase change, and it can actually, in addition to heat, it can cool. So you put your drink in and put it to the temperature exactly that you want it to be. It'll heat it or cool it and keep it exactly there. And on your phone, you can do presets, like you have a temperature for tea, you have multiple drinks, right? And it's just a very simple thing that works incredibly well. And what we've found, not surprisingly, I guess, is that people are incredibly passionate about their coffee.
Really?
Just like really into this idea of this mug, and we managed to have Starbucks pick it up, and they're selling it through their stores and online, and it's just got an amazing response. But it's there's a lot of technology behind it. But it's a very simple thing.
Also, Remap Polaroid camera, which is interesting because you take off the iconic white border of a typical Polaroid photo. Talk to me about why.
Well, we've been working with Polaroid for a few years, really around this idea of sort of not redefining, but bringing out the brand again to a new audience, and sort of the Polaroid values of simplicity and immediacy. And so we originally did the Cube action camera, and now we've done the Snap, which is a reimagination of the classic Polaroid camera. That is, you take a picture, take a photo, it gives you a picture, a print, right? And so that's what Snap is. It uses entirely digital technology to recreate that idea in a very simple, very affordable, very beautiful package.
Last thing, UNICEF Kid Power Band. I'm interested in this one, having children.
Yeah.
It's an activity tracker for kids.
Yeah, it was something we got involved with UNICEF to help them develop this product, and it's a really great idea in which it does two things. It promotes exercise for kids and helps deliver nutrition to starving children around the world. I mean, well, the way it works is kids exercise in a game-like fashion. As they do this, they earn points. They use points to essentially buy a meal packet for a starving child somewhere in the world. And it's also kind of this magnet for raising money, in that partners contribute money based on the points that are raised by kids. And what we found was it actually motivated kids to exercise more than anything, this idea of helping. And it's been amazing. It's the #2 selling fitness band at Target.
Wow.
Ahead of Apple, you know, and it's been really incredible. I even see adults wearing them, which has been amazing.